So I hope that you've been enjoying my free 6-day mini course so far, and I just want to take a quick break to answer some of the common questions that I get asked about running an online business, starting with the most important question of them all. How will I know that the niche that I have chosen is going to be profitable? Now, if you've already taken my free 6-day mini course, I've already taught you many great ways to find and brainstorm possible niche ideas. So for example, I taught you how to use Longtail Pro to figure out what people are searching for and to analyze the competition to see if your niche is going to be a success. I've also taught you how to use Terapeak, which allows you to go through all the completed listings on eBay to figure out what's selling and what's not. And I've also showed you how to go through the Amazon listings to also see what's selling and what is not on that platform as well. But the million-dollar question is always going to be, how do I know whether I've chosen the right niche and can I make money? So first off, there are no guarantees that any given niche is going to be insanely profitable because there's just too many variables to consider. And the most important factor to your success is actually going to be the amount of time and effort you're actually willing to work on your business. But in terms of picking the right products to sell, there's always going to be some trial and error involved. For example, my wife and I have sold some products that were immediate home runs right off the bat, and we've had some products that have been just base hits, and we've even had a couple of products that were complete duds and did not sell well at all. But what I can say is that the guidelines I provide in my class make it far more likely that you'll at least hit a base hit. So for example, I've had students who started making 6 figures with a single product within 6 months of selling. And I've also had students who kind of went through several different niches before achieving profitability. So for example, I had this one student who started out selling weighted vests. And then he realized that selling these big, heavy vests online was just not going to work. And so he pivoted and started selling cupcake stands online. And that turned out to be a winner. So the only true way to find out if your niche is going to be profitable or not is to actually go out and start selling. So I have my students sell a handful of products first to kind of validate their niches before going all in with their own custom website. And while you cannot possibly know that you're going to hit a home run with a given product or niche, there is actually a very high probability that you will at least get a base hit. So one thing I want to make clear is that I always do full evaluations of all of my students' niches if asked. And oftentimes I can actually tell right away if a niche doesn't have enough demand or if it's too competitive, and this saves my students a ton of time and money. So if you do decide to join my class, I promise to look at your niche very thoroughly and give you my okay before you begin. So the next logical question I get asked is, I don't know what to sell. Are you going to help me actually find a niche? So finding the right product to sell is actually an important part of the process, and it's actually very closely tied to the profit potential of your business. So as a result, I dedicate a very large portion of the class to providing you with the knowledge you need to actually find a profitable niche that has enough demand without being too competitive. And in addition to the videos and the course materials, I will also personally review your niche before you proceed. And that way you'll have peace of mind before you launch your shop. And I do this for any student that asks. The next question I get asked is, what are the chances of losing my money when starting my business? And I can say this, a lot of brand new entrepreneurs are kind of afraid of investing their hard-earned cash on products if they are not sure that they're going to sell. And first off, if you decide to drop ship, there's not going to be any inventory to worry about, and you can actually run your website for as little as $4.95 a month. But even if you do decide to carry inventory, here's the truth. If you use the research guidelines outlined in my class and mini course, the chances of losing money are actually very slim. So for example, let's say you've done your research correctly on Terapeak and on Amazon, and you've kind of recognized that your products do in fact sell on these platforms. In the worst case scenario, you can always liquidate your inventory on eBay or Amazon as a last resort and simply break even. And in fact, my wife and I have done this several times in the past with our duds. We've invested in a small amount of inventory, found that the goods weren't moving as fast as we would like, so we simply just sold off all of our inventory on eBay. Realistically speaking, my wife and I have actually never lost money on any of our products. The worst thing that has happened to us is that we've either broke even or we've held on to products for a little bit longer than expected to sell. So if you do your research correctly, then you should never have to worry about actually losing money. So if you've been doing your research, you've probably seen a bunch of courses on how to sell on Amazon, how to sell on eBay, how to dropship, and a bunch of different classes talking about those platforms out there. And there's actually many different ways to get started with e-commerce. But keep in mind that your end goal is going to be to own your own website, to own your own business, and to own your own customer base. And when you sell on Amazon or on eBay, your businesses can be taken away from you at any time. eBay constantly hikes up their prices. Amazon routinely bans people. They institute new policies that might not be beneficial to certain sellers. But that being said, selling on these platforms is actually highly recommended, and a large section of my class is actually dedicated towards helping you succeed on Amazon. So what I recommend to my students actually is to start out on Amazon and eBay, get some sales under your belt to kind of validate your niche, and then go all out with your website. And like I mentioned before, I've had students do 6 figures right away just during the validation process on Amazon. And so when it came time to start their own website, they already knew that their website was going to succeed. Another common question I get asked is, how long is it going to take to make money? And to be honest, the answer really depends on your business model. For example, if you decide to go with drop shipping, while your initial costs will be low, the ramp up to significant profits will actually take a lot longer, typically 6 months to a year. Whereas if you stock your own goods, the ramp up time is much faster. And for example, I have a student selling on Amazon that did 6 figures in 6 months. I have another student on track to do 6 figures this year after only 3 months in business. I also have another student with his own website that's doing 6 figures after being online for 1.5 years. And again, these case studies of all these students, in some of the later emails that you'll be getting, I'll have features of these students, and you can actually learn about their story through either a blog post or a podcast. But the length of time really depends on the amount of time that you spend and your business model. So if you decide, for example, to start on Amazon, I would say it will take a minimum of 1.5 months to actually get your first sale. Okay, and so how much money is it going to cost to actually start an online business? And once again, it's really going to depend on your business model. The cheapest way to start an online store is to dropship, and you can actually start your store for as little as $5 a month. But if you want to source your products domestically, like within your own country, you can realistically get by with $100 to start with. But if you decide to import your goods from overseas, I recommend having between $500 and $1,000 minimum to get started. Okay, but the thing here is that once you've reached steady state with your business and money's kind of flowing in, it's actually extremely cheap to maintain. And if you were to actually look at our business today, our online store earns hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, and our monthly costs are only on the order of $80 a month. Okay, and so what does that mean exactly? If things were to go bad and there's a sudden loss of sales for our store, we could actually keep our website up and running indefinitely. Another common question that I get asked, since I reside in the United States, is, does the material that I'm going to be presenting to you apply worldwide to all countries? And just to give you a little tidbit here, currently I have students in my class from all over the world, including Canada, England, South America, Asia, Australia, and even Saudi Arabia. And the beauty of the internet is that the concepts of selling online are not really affected by geographical boundaries. And outside of the module that I have on making your business legal, everything should apply to all countries. Another common question I get asked is from people who are not very tech savvy, and they're kind of worried about the whole website launching process. And before I launched my online store, I used to think the same way. I used to think that starting a website was just way too difficult. And then one day, a buddy of mine who was completely not tech savvy at all showed me his website where he was selling photos online. And when he told me that he did this all by himself, I was just completely dumbfounded. Because he didn't know anything about web design to start with too. And the beauty of the internet today is that it's really cheap and easy to launch your own website because of open source software and because of some of the fully hosted platforms that I kind of described earlier in the 6-day mini course. So you don't need to hire a programmer, you don't need a designer, you don't need to risk a lot of money up front. Putting up your website is actually quite easy, and there's a whole bunch of services out there that'll do it for you for a very small fee every single month, on the order of $15 to $25. And once you have your website up and running, another question I get asked is, do I need a huge marketing budget? And as I mentioned in some previous lessons in the 6-day mini course, the times have really changed. The big media conglomerates, they don't really control advertising anymore. And in fact, there's many effective methods of marketing and advertising that are absolutely free. For example, it's extremely cheap and easy to throw up a blog for your store and create a loyal following for your products and attract search engine traffic. And there's a whole bunch of different ways to get free traffic to your store that I outline in my class. Okay, and so overall, I hope this frequently asked questions session I've had with you today just shows you that starting a business is not going to be a monumental task. You don't need any special skills. You don't need a lot of money. You just really need determination and drive. And seriously, I knew nothing about websites, online businesses, and how to throw up an online store when I first started. And as long as you have a strong desire to be your own boss, you will be successful. And so just going down all the bullet points again, if you're worried about finding products to sell, I personally look at every single niche that a student submits to me and give them my honest opinion. If you're worried about losing money, if you follow my guidelines, you will at worst break even by liquidating your goods on either eBay or Amazon. If you want to start out selling on Amazon, I have detailed course materials in my class that teach you how to be successful doing that, and I have several students already doing 6 figures just on Amazon alone. If you have an existing shop and you simply want to jumpstart it, I will schedule your site for a full website critique as soon as you sign up. And I have examples of free critiques in some of the emails that you'll be getting. But the key thing to realize about starting an online store is that every business is going to be different and unique, and there's no real cookie cutter solution out there. And that's why I offer live office hours on a weekly basis where you can ask specific questions about your business and I will answer them. In any case, good luck with your business and your decision, and I hope to see you on the inside.